Hello everybody, here is KLANA with KLANA'S Magnificent Life Talk, still broadcasting from Ibiza, and I am a somatic sex coach and a pleasure. Wait a second, I'm confused now. Wait a second, I'm just bringing Danni in. So, okay. Let's start the whole story again when she's in. Okay. Hi, Danni. Welcome. You are fast here, and I was just... Okay. Just need to restart here again because I didn't have the introduction yet. I'm a little bit confused today in all my moving activities. So I'm KLANA, the Magnificent Life Leader, and this is the Magnificent Life Talk today with Danni Lovefox. And we are both somatic sex coaches and sex educators. And we stand for pleasure. Danni, you call yourself also a pleasure activist. Is that
Yes.
true? Yes.
Indeed.
And we know each other for a few years already because we did some training together with the bodywork trainings together. And this is why I'm really happy to have you on the show today, and you have a completely different point of view and other expertise than I have, but there is one thing we have in common. This is self-pleasure is one of our main pieces, or let's say an important piece to bring to the people, so that this is important. And would you, what's that sound? Okay, there was some weird sound. Are you playing on your microphone?
No. Maybe it's just noises here.
No, it sounds as if something's touching your microphone or so.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll
perhaps
try
not. So we had a little conversation before we went public, and would you like to share that? Because that's
throwing me in at the deep end, KLANA. Thanks for that. Yeah, okay. Actually,
because
yes, I will.
That's such a great example for what you can use, and then we can jump right in.
Okay, so to update the people, KLANA and I were having a chat beforehand, and I mentioned to her that something I've been working on in my personal process this year is becoming more comfortable showing myself, I suppose, in terms of what I'm doing, in terms of the pleasure that I support, and stepping up into speaking more to groups, to the public. And I noticed that some of my nervousness was building up before doing this chat with KLANA, and I decided to explore, to walk my talk, and to use a self-pleasure practice to become more centered, to become more grounded. I discovered this month, I've just done 30 days of self-pleasure, basically. That's been really the focus of this April, which has 30 days. Every single day exploring a different self-pleasure practice.
Yes.
And of course, I mean, we did this, 2014, I was studying with KLANA the somatic sex coaching course, and it was really a focus of what we were doing. Joseph Kramer, our teacher, famous sexologist from the US, he called it orgasmic yoga. And actually he's developed a big body of work around this, fantastic body of work. I went back to these meditations, he calls them, essentially. They are drawing kind of on a mix of traditional yoga and bringing in, I suppose you could call them somehow tantric technique, consciousness, mindfulness techniques that involve sexuality. And I was very inspired by this. You know, I think we had to do 10 days consecutively at this time and kind of look into what it brought up in us. And it was deep work. I mean, I'd be interested to hear your reflections on it afterwards, kind of how you found it. But I found it really deep work. And it has been on my to-do list since 2014. Yeah,
Yeah.
to get back into orgasmic yoga. And I noticed in myself some resistance to that in some way, which is something I teach people to also be in tune with, right? Resistance is there for a reason, and rather than battling it or suppressing it, it's also about
Yeah.
giving yourself space to be with that. I give myself plenty of space. And I think this is the moment where it really came back, and it's just so clear to me this is the time to
Yes.
reclaim my
Thank you.
own pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your personal experience, Danny. And you are right with the resistance. I learned that too at that time. And upfront before the class, we had to do it for 30 days. And
Oh yeah, okay.
what helped me at that time was really the group experience. So that helped me accountable. If I had, must have, no, now I'm mixing up the tenses. If I should, if I should have had done it, I don't know if that's correct, on my own, I think I would have never done it. So I had some help from in that case it was from the group, and that helped me tremendously because I saw, oh, it's not only me who's struggling there, the others too. And to hear this from you now, right now with the resistance is also interesting to hear. And this is the reason why I am offering this class, so that I can help people to go through that resistance and hold their hand to just do it. Because I don't know what happened with you when you did it the first time. For me, that was a tremendous shift into to self-love.
Yes.
You know, for me, that was so important, and that has a different layers. You just mentioned it helps you to ground. For me, it was discovering the love for myself and my body. And of course, it helps you to discover your body and what you like in a sexual way.
Yeah, indeed. I think it's really important that people see that it's not just them that has resistance to self-love, to self-pleasure. I mean, this is really something that's chronic in our societies. And it's really interesting, you know, I think pleasure in general is kind of swept under the carpet. You know, pain and suffering is, of course, celebrated. If you meet
All
someone and
right, yeah.
they tell you, oh, I've had a terrible week, it's all going really badly, it's kind of like, yeah, okay. But I mean, it's quite unusual to hear someone say, yeah, I've had a really wonderful time, I have loads of space in my week, lots of joy. And that is the challenge with the self-pleasuring, I think. The key to this practice and the key to what I've been doing in these 30 days is that you plan your pleasure. Yeah, this idea that you will find time for your pleasure is, I think we can all say, somehow challenging. There is a focus on productivity in our lives
Yeah.
over pleasure, functional living over pleasure. And I think really when you get caught up in that fire of kind of being functional, being productive, you will end up losing touch with your pleasure. And what I loved about this practice, what at first challenged me was, how do I build pleasure into every single day? And that also includes the days where you're not in the mood, you're tired, you don't have even time to yourself, you only have time where your partner is there,
Yeah.
and you only have your general routine. And what I found really amazing is that within a few days, the creativity pouring out. Because suddenly, when you know every day you need to plan at least half an hour for your pleasure, you really start to be creative how you can do that. You know, for instance, an example of that on day 2 or 3, something like that, I had really a packed out day. And I think we all know that day where you just have your normal routine and that's it. I decided to have a creative tantric sensual shower. and this was really funny, right? Because I shower every day and it's never as exciting as that shower. And the question is why, right? Why is not every shower as exciting as that shower? And I think the answer to that is intention. You know, we work with intention a lot in our coaching sessions, particularly working with sexual energy in any kind of tantric session. The idea is, what's your intention here? What are you looking for? What do you want to do with this? And by having an intention to create this beautiful sensual experience with my showering, the entire thing changed. You know, I have one of these body brushes that you're meant to use to stimulate the lymph and get rid of dead skin cells. And I never use it because it feels like a chore. This day, I suddenly realized that could be interesting to explore the sensuality of this. And it's not traditionally sensual feeling on the skin, but it was. And it was just that curiosity that was awakened, that kind of, oh, how could this be? How could this feel on my body? You know, I was dancing in the bathroom to the music I'd picked for this, and I'm really enjoying being kind of sensual and for myself. It's not for anyone else, no, it's just for you. And feeling the water on my skin, you know, that's always there. What I found out, Klana, the most about pleasure is that it's not how to build more pleasure in. It's actually, the pleasure is there. What it is taking away your resistance to feeling it. And to allowing yourself to be on this frequency almost. No, it's like a frequency in your life that is attuned to pleasure, right? And how do I get more in touch with that? And I see that more. I'm sure you probably resonate with this for your coaching clients in sex coaching. People are asking, how do I get more pleasure? And what I keep answering is, well, why can't you feel the pleasure? Why can't you access it? You know, what is getting in the way? And typically it's, you know, being in the head. Not being in the body, being in stress. For a lot of women, of course, are running around after other things in the life, children or family. This can also get in the way of finding half an hour. It can be really a luxury. You know, it's not that everyone can find half an hour to themselves if they have family life or something like this. But that shower incident really showed me that it's really a choice, and it's a choice you make to say, I celebrate my pleasure. I enjoy my pleasure. I'm a woman who enjoys pleasure. It's also a big thing to say, yeah. And that pleasure is desirable for me. I want to be in my pleasure, and I want to celebrate that. Now, this is a big political statement here. Yeah.
And it's not only for that moment. You carry that on into your day and into other areas of your life.
Yeah, I noticed after even, I mean, I particularly, I'm still on the shower incident really, although I had 30 other days of this kind of discoveries. But I walked out into the street, you know, shortly after to go down to the train station, and I noticed that everything felt different. I was in a different frequency of myself. I was very relaxed. I was very sensitive, perhaps, to the enjoyment. You know, I noticed the birds tweeting. I looked around and sensed the nature around. I wasn't stuck in productivity. I was in relaxation, enjoyment, pleasure. Yeah, it affects the whole day, really.
And I think this is so important, especially nowadays where everything is so hectic, and to just take the time to rest in a way. And of course, it's not only resting if you're self-pleasuring yourself. it's also excitement and a little bit of a push-up. But in the end, you have that relaxation that brings you to yourself and to more awareness, depending on the intention you set.
Yeah, also, I wanted to also make it clear with this that, you know, okay, I talked about two types of self-pleasuring, right? Masturbation as the kind of classic quick fix, kind of like scratching an itch. Masturbation is the kind of thing that comes up, say you're sitting there and you're supposed to be writing, I don't know, a blog post or something for work, and suddenly you just think, oh, I just can't be bothered with this. And suddenly you have the idea, okay, I'll masturbate, or maybe you're stressed, maybe you want to go to sleep. And it's really kind of like something you just think of in the moment as fixing something. And this is really different, I guess, to the self-pleasure concept. You know, it's not this rushed quickie. with yourself, which also, I don't want to say it's
It's also
wrong to have
good.
a quickie. Yeah, exactly. The point is, if you've only had quickies since years, you're missing something. Yeah, it's about
This is true.
balance.
Yeah.
This is it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a quickie. It's totally okay. And in all sex lives, it can be celebrated. It's fun and it's effective. But just being sure with yourself, do I have a choice in what I choose? And it's really about having that choice. What do I want to do today? And giving yourself freedom also to allow yourself a full hour. You know, like it's kind of like going to McDonald's. Yeah, every now and then you need a drive-through. Yeah, that's what fits. But also coming to a luxury restaurant and taking 3, 4, maybe 5 courses and
Yeah,
savoring every drop
exactly.
of that. Yeah.
And also take your time afterwards to savor it and
Yeah,
to
also, I mean,
reflect a little bit
yeah.
what happened. Yeah.
I mean, when you look at, I'll share this with people who are interested how this can work, but certainly similar to orgasmic yoga, I've mentioned in the self-pleasure ritual of me guidelines that you take 10 minutes afterwards to integrate the experience and to notice what has changed. You know, there's that kind of feeling often after masturbation. I suppose it maybe comes from a lot of shame and guilt we feel about this kind of activity, that we jump up. If there's porn on, immediately turn it off because suddenly it looks horrible. Now you've had your orgasm. And getting back into life, and you haven't really integrated the experience of what's happened, what's changed. How do I feel now compared to before? Savoring, noticing, becoming aware. And I think it's a really nice idea to keep a pleasure journal for this. And I really recommend people do, you know? Yeah.
Hi, Susan, and thank you for the hearts. And hi to everybody who I cannot see with a name. Sometimes I see people are showing up here, but I don't see the names. So we are talking about self-pleasure today. And Danny shared some of her private experiences. So it's really also good to start from the beginning when we are at the end, if you have missed the start of that video. Yeah, Danny, you're teaching people that as well as I do.
Yeah, very similar
Yes?
work in that
Yeah.
respect.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm supporting
But
people to work more mindfully with conscious self-pleasure, basically. I actually think it's really the missing key in a lot of this work, where people get used to going to practitioners over and over, spending good money on it, and also, you know, for a good cause. You know, people want to make changes in their life. But in the end, it's really that day-to-day grind where you're going to find the integration of those experiences, whatever they are. If you're going to tantric practitioners or any kind of somatic work, you know, how do I find a way to build this into my daily life, into my routine? And I think that's the next big step. It's really integrating these techniques. And I speak not just for my clients, I speak for myself as a practitioner. I go to workshops, I learn loads of techniques, and they often stay there, or in particular practice sessions. And why I chose to do this 30-day practice and why I recommend anybody to give it a go is to also take these experiences that you have in these specialist settings and bring them into your daily life. Make them your daily practice and benefit from them, really, from your own experience.
yes. And you you have a special gift for the people out there, which they can get online. That's true, huh?
Yes, I would say it's relatively special, yes. For basically, I've signed up to Patreon, which I don't know if people know. It's kind of new, but it's a really nice site in the US which supports creativity. So it's kind of similar to blogs. There's many people using it, and I've signed up for the Ritual of Me, the self-pleasure celebration. And what I've done in the last 30 days, as I've done this journey into mindful self-pleasuring, is uploaded every single day a practice, which gives you essentially 30 choices of self-pleasure practices. And every single one is different. And that's what was so beautiful. You know, we have this idea of what self-pleasure is supposed to be, right? It's kind of got this beginning, middle, and end, and it's often very similar. And what I loved about this is really getting stuck into the possibilities and the aspects. You know, there's really everything on there, from a full moon sex magic ritual with yourself, to how to use your PC muscles to expand your pleasure, how to use conscious breathing, kind of traditional somatics. You'll also find how to integrate your partner into this practice, because of course I had the challenge now and again that, you know, my partner was here with me in the evening and there was us together, and how do I bring him in? And there's witnessing options there that you can try out as a couple. And I can say that can be really powerful. You know, my partner watched my self-pleasure, not in direct sight contact. So we kept kind of, he was a witness and I was in my experience. And that when we connected afterwards, his entire mood was so different. He had slowed down to my tempo. He had seen how I had touched myself, and he reflected that in how he touched me. And it was a very powerful experience. You know, he even said to me afterwards, wow, that was almost like going back to the first time in its intensity.
Yeah.
And yeah, I suppose so. It is like that. You've gone back in touch with yourself in a way that's very deep. And to then move into partnered contact is also special. So, you know, this isn't always just about loving yourself. This can also bring things for your relationship with your partner, and certainly how you approach sexuality together. Be even ideal if both of you did this 30 days, yeah? And the practices are for men and women. You know, I'm talking from my own experience as a woman, but I've included practices for men and women so that everybody can have a go at this.
Yes.
Yes.
Susan asked, can you give a few examples? For what exactly, Susan? She just gave some. Can you just let us know what exactly you want to know?
I mean, as a general idea, I've really made this broad. Obviously, there's things you can do that bring pleasure that don't have to be sexual. Yeah, you can also choose to have, for instance, this conscious self-pleasure shower, or to eat a piece of chocolate cake and really make it your pleasure. Yeah, it's not the same as just eating chocolate cake. This is eating chocolate cake. Yeah, but what I have recommended is don't get stuck on pleasure options that don't have self-touch, because it can be kind of an avoidance then. So really try and integrate some sort of sensual touch into every session, but certainly try and avoid getting goal-based. Like every session has to have a peak orgasm. You know, we talk a lot about peak orgasm, yeah, which is, this is all written, of course, in the self-pleasure practices that I've put online. But peak orgasm is when you're really charging towards orgasm. There's a kind of this fieriness, maybe you're puffing, huffing, and tensing. And, you know, that's something that we all enjoy. What I think many people have less experience of, which is why I focused on it in this, is also the valley orgasm. So kind of letting go into relaxation, building energy, yeah, in this kind of energetics way, and then stopping for a moment and just letting go of everything in your body that's tense, and allowing yourself to kind of climb the mountain and then fall off it in a very pleasurable way, ideally with some sort of glider, I suppose. Um, and yeah, that's what I've been trying to bring in, examples of that. How can you use your breath to raise your sexual energy? How can you use your pelvic muscles? And also at the same time, how can you work, I suppose, really with tantric techniques, a lot of it. Yeah, I hope
Okay,
that gives some
Susan says
inspiration.
Susan, with her example, she said 2 of the 30. So she just said, told us about the one self-pleasuring experience with her partner as a witness, and at the beginning she talked about another one. So please go back to the beginning of the video, and
Uh,
I will put the link there where you can go to her Patreon page where you can see all the 30. Did I get that right?
yeah, kind of. The system there is, I think I've put 4 that you can see everybody, like a
Ah,
public. And then I think for the rest of them, it's a $1 contribution to sign up to the Patreon account. And what I want to do, I mean, I've done 30 days on there now. I want to continue, actually, because it's gone so well. You know, it's brought me so much
yeah.
in my life. It's connected me to parts of myself that I hadn't been in touch with so much, very deep parts of the feminine, I would say, that have maybe got neglected with the kind of fire of life that we live in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to continue. So if people are interested and pay the $1 for this month, and there's a few people on there, then I will continue it. We
Okay,
can keep working together and adding meditations and sharing our experiences. That I would really like that.
cool. Thank you for being so open and sharing those your private experiences. But this is what it needs to do, and this is why we are doing that job, because we want to be sexuality as normal as it really is and get it out of the taboo zone. At least that's my mission.
Yeah,
And
it's
and
okay to enjoy pleasure.
exactly, absolutely. Everything is okay as long as it's consensual. And when you are
Awesome.
with yourself, you are consensual, I guess.
I hope. I hope. There may be some conflicts there, but you'll find them out in the 30 days.
Danny, thank you so much. I'm going to put the links how people can go to Patreon to the video. I will add it to the video, and also how people can reach you if they want to get in contact with you. And the same with me. If you want to get in contact with me and see if we are fit and can work together, I can offer, not I can, I am offering you a free discovery session. Good. That was it for today. Thanks for watching, and also the people who are watching the replay, and enjoy yourself.
Enjoy your pleasure.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks,
Bye,
Kana.
everybody.
Ciao.